Hello again. In our previous videos, we were able to help our client, Coffee Connection, choose an image for a magazine ad, modify it, and then place it into the basic file for the design. As you'll probably remember, Coffee Connection is about to celebrate its grand opening. Now that the magazine ad has been completed, our client needs us to take the information and graphics from that magazine ad and adapt them into an animated web banner ad, which can be placed onto the local Chamber of Commerce website. Web banners are typically much simpler than a print ad and can also include interactive or animated elements. Although it's important not to go overboard with animation, simple animations can help catch the viewer's eye when seen on a web page, especially on pages with mostly static content. For our Coffee Connection banner ad, we're going to animate some of the text, but as you work on your final project, feel free to experiment with animating other elements in a way that you feel will help convey your client's message. For our banner ad, we're going to first create a Photoshop file that is 336 pixels by 280 pixels. We are then going to name the file simply cc_banner_ad. Next, make sure that the Layers panel is showing, as well as the Timeline panel. We will be using the Timeline panel when we create the animation later. These panels can both be turned on and off from the window menu. One of our goals for this project is to make sure that it keeps a consistent look and feel with our previous magazine ad. We are going to use some of those same elements that we used for that design, including the background image of the leaves and the masked cup image which we created in our previous tutorial. The first item we will place is the image of the leaves. I go to File, Place Embedded, and then choose the leaves.jpg file. I want the leaves to create the background for roughly the top half of the banner, so I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit and move it up as well. As always, be sure to hold the Shift key down when sizing graphics so that they will stay in the proper proportion. I also know that I'm planning to place some text over the top of the leaves, so I'm going to go to the Layers panel, and with the leaves layer selected, I will lessen the opacity to 80%. We can always adjust that later if we need to as well. Next, I want to bring in the Coffee Connection logo. I have the CC Style Guide PDF file open in Illustrator already, so I'm just going to select the color logo and copy it using Command+C or Control+C if you're using the Windows operating system. I then go back to the Photoshop file of the banner ad and paste the graphic there. The paste window pops up, and I'm going to choose to place the logo as a smart object. I next scale it down so that it fits in the lower right corner of our banner. At this time, I'm also going to change the name of the layer to be more descriptive, so that I can easily look back and know what's on each layer. It's very important to keep your layers organized and clearly labeled to help keep your workflow as smooth as possible. Next, I will place the masked coffee cup image from our previous tutorial. I decided that including this graphic would help to keep a consistent style with the previous magazine ad, and the client requested it as well. To do this, we will once again go to File, Place Embedded, and choose the Cup Masked PSD file. I like the size it comes in at, but I'm just going to move it over and down slightly so that it's placed to the left of the logo and overlaps the image of the leaves as well. We are now ready to add the text at the top of the ad, which we are going to eventually animate. I select the Type tool from the Tools panel and then make sure that I have Arial Bold selected, as that is one of the approved typefaces for the client and it will be easy to read on screen as well. I'm also going to just keep the text white, as I feel that will show up well against the colorful leaves background. You can then play with the text size until you come up with what you feel works best. I like 48 point for now, so that's what I'm going to go with. I next click on the Type tool again and type Opening in the same size and color as Grand. Notice how the two words are on different layers. When planning my animation, I decided that I wanted the words Grand Opening to appear on screen one at a time, then change to November 14th, which is the date of the opening. The date would then change to the web address so that potential customers would know where to go for more information and to learn about the store. So now that I have the grand opening text created, I'm going to create the additional text. I'm going to first hide the layers with Grand and Opening so that I can properly position the additional text. I grab the Type tool again and type in November 14th, placing it in the center of the leaf background. Now the last text element I will create is the web address, which will be the final element in the animation. Because I want to be sure that it is aligned the same as the date, I'm going to duplicate the date layer in the Layers panel. I name the new layer URL for the web address, then I turn off the date layer so that I can focus on just the URL layer text. I type in the client's web address, but it is a bit too large. So I will next adjust the type size. It looks like 36 points will work, so that's what we'll use. Holding the Shift key down to ensure that the baseline of the text will stay put, I will adjust the type slightly so that it's centered. Now we have all of the elements in place for our banner ad, and the last step is to animate. There are multiple ways to do this, but for our purposes we are going to now turn on all of the graphic layers in the Layers panel, plus the layer with the word Grand. We'll leave all the other layers of text turned off at this point. Then we will go to the Timeline panel we brought up earlier. You'll see that by clicking on the arrow to the right, we can toggle between Create Video Timeline and Create Frame Animation, but we want Create Frame Animation. When we select that, the first frame of our animation is created. I'm next going to click on the Duplicate Selected Frames icon and duplicate the first frame. With the second frame selected, I will turn off the Grand layer and turn on the Opening layer. I then duplicate the second frame, turn off Opening, and turn on November 14th. For the last bit of text in the animation, I will again duplicate the last frame, turn off November 14th, and turn on the URL layer. We now have the basic frames needed for our animation. To view the animation, you can click on the arrow at the bottom of the timeline panel. As you see, it goes very fast. This can easily be adjusted by selecting delay speeds at the bottom of each frame. Let's try 2 seconds each and see how that looks. That might be a little slow, so I'm going to try 1 second each. But these are settings that you can play with until you feel the timing is right for your specific animation. I've also noticed that I don't like the way the word grand disappears when opening pops up. So I'm going to click on the second frame and turn on the grand layer, which will keep both words on the screen at the same time. Another important setting to be aware of is the looping options setting for the animation at the bottom. Here you can set whether you want the animation to only play once, 3 times, infinitely, or a setting of your choosing. I'm going to choose 3 times for this one. Now that our animation is finished, we are going to go to the drop-down menu at the top of the timeline panel and select Optimize Animation. This will help ensure that the file is optimized for viewing in a web browser. For our last step, we will save the file as an animated GIF. To do this in Photoshop Creative Cloud, go to File, Export, Save for Web. I'm going to keep the default settings and just choose Save. Now to test our animation, I will bring up a browser window. In this case, I'm using Google Chrome. And I will simply drag the GIF onto the browser window. Immediately our animation begins, and this shows us exactly how the ad will look when placed onto a web page. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and the animation possibilities are really endless with Photoshop. Thanks for watching.